Today I'm interviewing Edward Baker. Mr. Baker is running for president as an independent. Hello, Mr. Baker, and welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank my audience for taking their time to participate. I'm going to start out with some icebreaker questions for you, Mr. Baker, and then we'll get into the more serious questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Can you describe your family and your home life?
Sure. Well, I'm single, never married. I've lived my entire life in Oregon, grew up in Clackamas, and right now I'm living in downtown Portland. Grew up as an only child and was very fortunate to have the parents and grandparents that I had. They made a lot of sacrifices for me. And my parents and grandparents on my dad's side have passed on now. The people that are still living in my family are my grandma, who's 93 years old. Absolutely the most peaceful person that I've ever met in my life, and is that way to everybody. I have three sisters from my dad's first marriage, and Kathy, and then I have some wonderful nieces and nephews and all their families. That's my family.
Can you describe your employment, your work experience, past and present?
Yeah, most of my experience actually comes in the market research field, conducting interviews similar to what you're doing here. Managed call centers for most of my life, and then had some other management jobs. Started a couple startup market research companies. Currently, I'm putting actually all my focus into this campaign, taking this very seriously, trying to meet as many people as I can and spread the message, treating this kind of like a job interview in of itself, and hoping that in 2016 the voters will decide to hire me.
All right. What are your hobbies and interests?
I love sports. I coached Babe Ruth baseball, 13 to 15-year-olds for 13 years. Enjoy going to the beach, ocean, rivers, lakes, and any time I'm communicating with my friends and family.
Do you have a favorite restaurant or place to eat out?
That would be Buffalo Wild Wings, the downtown Portland location. And they got good food, lots of TVs with all the sports packages. And the main reason I go there is the staff is just a lot of amazing people.
Do you have a favorite, maybe fast food or junk food restaurant that you like to pull in for some quick food?
I used to live on that stuff, and haven't really done much of that anymore. I'd say very rarely, but maybe Dairy Queen would probably be my top choice.
Do you have any favorite junk food, candy bars, sweets of any kind?
Still got a bit of a sweet tooth. I would say probably Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
That's a very good choice. That should get you the presidency right there.
I'm thinking so.
Favorite TV shows and movies?
Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. The let's see. I like the show Amazing Race. It's kind of under the reality TV. For comedies, I liked Mr. Bean and Mystery Science Theater 3000. But anymore, what I'm mostly watching, just because there's so many important issues that I'm trying to learn about, I end up watching quite a few documentaries and films and videos on important issues and just trying to learn about those. So, and I actually enjoy those as well.
Okay, how about any pets, any dogs, cats, little critters, any sorts?
Yeah, my family very much cat people, and grew up with a lot of cats. Currently I've got one cat. His name is Titan, and he's 10 years old, had him all his life, like a son to me, and he's right here with me today.
And the final icebreaker question, can you name a song that you consider your life anthem, your life motto, something that, a song that kind of describes you?
Well, of late anyway, I've Bon Jovi's "It's My Life." I think fits pretty good. in that I kind of look at things like I wasn't alive 100 years ago, not going to be alive 100 years from now. I'm alive today, and I think that we should, be able to live free and have dreams, goals, purpose, opportunities, and should live without feeling intimidated by others or undervalued by others.
All right, and now we're going to move into the serious questions. Right off the bat, why are you running for president?
Well, I think that the last several presidents that we've had have not done a very good job, and I fear that we're going to continue to get the same people if we don't make a serious change in the type of person that we're looking for to fill those positions. I feel like the people that we've been choosing have been lying to us, smiling and saying things are getting better when things are actually deteriorating. And I just think that the American people need better choices, more options, better options on Election Day. I'm frustrated that the media, mainstream media, tells you that you have two choices, and you have to be a member of one of the two major parties to have a chance to be elected. I should mention, too, that I'm not a member of any political party. I don't know if we said that at the beginning, but I just don't really believe in the party system, and I'm thinking that being somebody that is not walking party lines, not a career politician, can look at each issue individually. I think that's going to be a positive for America, and I know I can win, and that's very important as well. I think that some people are not putting in the I think it sounds like a nice idea to run for president, but I don't know how many people are actually taking the steps to make sure they're going to get on every ballot and are really going to make a serious run at this to be there at the end. And I'm committed to doing that.
Right. Can you name some unique abilities you would bring to the office of president? What skills, talents, strengths do you have?
Well, I'm pretty good at working with people, for one thing. Again, I think some of my advantages are that I'm not a career politician. I don't want to be one. I want to do my 4 years. If the people want me to do 2 terms, I'll do my 8 years, and then I want to move on with my life. I'm not a member of any political party, secret society, or the CIA. I will work, with everyone that has the best interest for all Americans. And I'm somebody that's going to be in touch with, work for, represent the American people. I'm honest, which seems to be a rarity in these positions, but I'm honest and open. I'm going to hold people that are in positions of power to high standards of accountability. And when people abuse their power, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they're punished. And finally, I'm not somebody that's going to kick a can down the road. I'm going to face the hard issues head on, get results, and make a difference.
Are there any presidents you would like to emulate, or any aspects of any presidents you would try to be like?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm looking to emulate anyone. I just want to do the best to represent the American people. The presidents that I'd have the most respect for is any president that, had the best interests of all Americans in mind and weren't playing politics with people's lives.
Are there any presidents you do not like or would not want to be like?
I haven't really researched too much past the last 4, going back to George H.W. Bush, but none of those 4 would I want to be like. I think that they've been dishonest. I think they have a lot of blood on their hands. Back when Bill Clinton was president, I was pretty successful in my working, and so at the time I, thought he was wonderful. But since I've, taken some time to learn more and research further on all 4 of those people, I don't think that any of them probably were very good people or very good presidents. And I guess one more thing to say on that is, these last 2 presidents, one of the big issues for me is September 11th, 2001, which I'm very passionate about. And, George W. Bush said never forget 9/11, and I certainly never will. I have a hard time believing that any president after September 11th, 2001 doesn't know something about that event that they're not sharing with us. I certainly don't believe the official story of that, and so I have a problem with that. I think anybody that planned or executed those events need to be brought to justice, but also anybody that covers it up. And if they know something and they're not sharing it, then that's a part of the cover-up. So I believe that anybody if that is the case, then I think that we need to have that out in the open, and I think those people all need to be brought to justice.
Are there any functions of government you would like to cut or abolish, and why? Well,
there's just the hard part is just not knowing what the truth is about things, because there's a lot of misinformation. But when somebody comes out and is a whistleblower, and then they get punished, but the bad people within these organizations are not, that's very frustrating. So organizations that I would like to learn a lot more about and consider cutting would be Homeland Security, because I believe that they've cut a lot of our freedom as well as money. And then the CIA, the more I've researched them, the more that I see the possibilities that they've been involved in illegal activity, possibly the assassination of JFK, drug trafficking, and maybe they had something to do with September 11th, 2001 as well. And I just don't believe we can move forward. Yeah, let me just say I just don't think we can move forward in this country. I mean, I'm gonna stay on the September 11th thing and other things like this, because I don't believe we can move forward in this country until we punish people that have put us in this position. And then I think once that happens, the truth comes out and people are punished, I think we can move forward.
Are there any areas of government you would like to add to or increase, and why?
Okay. The Department of Human Services, you look at things like food stamp benefits. In 2013, there were 47,636,000 people received food stamps. That came out to over $76 billion. And I think what we need to do is get people to not be dependent on the government. I have a plan that will help those that want to get back to work do so, while at the same time helping small and medium-sized businesses add employees and also weed out people that abuse the system. So I think the Department of Human Services, that process I think needs to be changed, especially when it comes to people receiving unemployment as well as food stamps and other benefits like that. And what I want to do is have their staff, which they're going to have a lot more staff, but meet with people that are getting benefits on a regular basis, maybe every week for a half hour, and I want them to help them get back into the work field. If they can't work, help them get their disability through. But they need to, these people need support and accountability to make sure that they're not just sitting back collecting benefits and thinking that they're going to get them forever. And things like hooking them up with training or help with writing a resume and a plan for the week ahead of where they're going to apply for jobs, and then follow up with them on a regular basis to make sure that's happening. And if it's not happening, they're not playing the game, then they're forfeiting their benefits and are going to have to find another way, rather than the hardworking people filling up their refrigerator while they're going without. And so what I'm trying to do by doing that is restore pride in America, faith in Americans, make sure that people once again have dreams, goals, purpose, and opportunity, and I believe people in these government positions need to be a part of that.
All right, we're coming up on 15 minutes left. We have about maybe 10 or 11 questions left. Here's another question. Describe your stance on taxes.
Too complex to take too much time on it, but for me, the bottom line is that there's a lot of wasted money. And so I'm not as concerned about the amount of money coming in as what it's being used for. And I think that we've got to find a way to pay down our debt so we're not paying interest on the $17 trillion debt, and then also not wasting money in general. And I'll just leave it at that.
Describe your stance on the abortion pro-choice issue.
It's such a divisive issue. I mean, that's if you want to start a civil war, just divide that up, I guess. But I'm going to say I'm pro-choice. I think the woman should choose, do what's right for her. I think people need to mind their own business rather than judging people. You don't know what they're going through. However, I don't think it should be a form of birth control. I think there needs to be more education, more access to birth control, but I'm not going to waver on being pro-choice.
What role should our military play in the world as far as intervention, getting involved in conflicts, creating war, all that?
Creating war is probably not so good. I would say that, again, it's so hard to know what the reality is. There's so much dishonesty and misinformation. It'd be nice if we could just know the truth about things and then make some decisions where we are needed. My concern is it all about money? Is it all about big government contracts to Halliburton and things like that? Is it for, interests like oil and opium or things like that? My concern right now is things here at home, and specifically things like drug cartels and gang violence and dangerous people like that I don't know that our police are doing enough to take care of. I think these problems are going to start getting worse. And even though we don't want tanks and military rolling up and down our streets in America, I think that we need to really consider taking out the very bad people in this country, which includes the drug cartels.
How would you handle immigration and border security?
Probably one of my biggest passions as well here, and my opinion is we have to completely close off the borders, have a military presence there, where no more illegal aliens cross into our country. They need to be met unpleasantly if they do cross in. I believe that everyone that is here illegally currently needs to be deported. And I don't believe that, and also, anybody that's assisting them with employment illegally or housing them, I believe that those people should be punished just as you would be for harboring a fugitive or anything like that. And then beyond that, I don't think it should cost $12,500 for each person that we're deporting. And that's the cost that I understand it is for arresting them and holding them and then deporting them. I think that's another example that we need to look at the spending on that and find a way to do it for cheaper. But even if it does cost that, it's worth every penny, in my opinion.
How do you perceive the issues of race and discrimination in America? Do we still face challenges?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt we do. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're here legally, I don't care about your race, religion, disabilities, sexual orientation, or anything else that makes you unique. But, in my opinion, people like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton do far more harm than good when they get involved in these things and make it all about race. Sometimes things happen and it's not because of race, and yet the media will blow that, make a story out of that. I also think that it's not at all equal. What one race can say about another race, it's comedy or it's okay, but if the race turns it around and says it about the other person, now it's a big issue. Also, things like the N-word that get thrown around so loosely in rap music or just in conversation, again, I think that, it's a very offensive word that if I used it, I would not blame anyone for being very upset with me. But I think that they should also be upset when it's used by anybody. And so I think there's a double standard. The final thing I want to say on this, because this is very important, one of my great supporters in the state of Colorado has a disability and was trying to get a job and been trying hard to get a job. She went in and applied for some jobs, and one of the hiring managers told her, "You're qualified for this position, but I need to hire a couple more Hispanics." Now, obviously that's against the law, but I think this happens quite a bit, discrimination where the hiring manager isn't being as upfront about it to the person that they're turning down for the job. And my problem with that is that they're catering to people that don't speak English by hiring people whose first language is not English. And my hope is that by deporting illegal immigrants, that will help create more opportunities for everyone that is here legally.
Okay, we're coming down on 9 minutes left. There's about 6 questions.
Yep.
What role does the federal
down.
Okay. What role does the federal government play in healthcare?
And this is one that I'll kind of breeze over because it's such a complex issue. I'm going to have to take a long time, studying it. But I will say this: we have got a mental health crisis in America. It gets a little bit of attention every time a celebrity commits suicide for a few days. But the reality is that we have got to be able to provide everyone in need of mental health help with counseling, medication, hospitalization, safe living places, disability, help with getting their disability. They need a sense of community, and the police need training so that they know how to handle situations without killing people because they don't know what they're doing when they roll up on somebody that's mentally ill.
What priority would you give for the repair of infrastructure? What is the role of the federal government in maintaining infrastructure?
Well, I think, first of all, it's mostly going to be state issues. However, we need to help the states by ensuring that the federal tax dollars aren't being wasted. Everything is an investment. They need to look at the big picture, set priorities, and make sure it makes sense. It's going to create jobs. It has to be something that's sustainable, energy efficient, things that are beneficial and a good value. And then, they need to do it.
Where do you stand on the issue of personal privacy and the need to protect our nation from terrorists? What's the sweet spot between guarding civil liberties but also guarding against any enemies who would want to do us harm?
Well, who are the enemies? Are they people that are supposed to be protecting us? I don't know. So first of all, there shouldn't be spying on Americans. We should be living free. You got to understand, as bad as it is, that there are bad people in America, and they always have been bad people. There are going to be things that are going to happen. You're not going to stop everything. And, I'd rather live free and face the dangers, as Jesse Ventura says as well, than, lose our freedoms. And so I feel strongly about that. I'm also very opposed when it comes to privacy to things like no-call lists, no-mail lists. People should have the ability to sell products and services. It's ridiculous that they make it so difficult for people in America to sell something, and those jobs are so critical. So I think that you should be able to say yes or no if somebody calls you and wants to offer you a service that might benefit you or a product. And then if they're breaking laws like harassment or fraud, then there's penalties for those laws when they're broken, and those should be very strong penalties. But these call centers all went to, India and all this stuff, and we need to bring those jobs back here.
This is not a litmus test type question, but a lot of people do consider faith and religion and spirituality and all that a big issue. What role does faith, religion, spirituality, etc. play in your life? And what type of role would it play for you if you were elected president?
That's a hard one. Religion is so personal for people, and yet you're right that they do care when you're going for a public office. They become interested in that. So for myself, I have my own personal beliefs that I'm very comfortable with. I have went to church probably 3 times in the last 10 years, and I don't need to go to church to feel comfortable with my religion. There's a quote from St. Augustine that says, "Pray as though everything depends on God, work as though everything depends on you." And for me, that kind of makes sense. And, so I think there's time to pray, and it's probably pretty frequently and when there's so many crises going on, but you better be putting forth some serious action as well, to make sure that things get better as well.
Okay, and we're coming down on 5 minutes left. We have 4 questions. Be a political forecaster. Predict 2 major problems facing our country in the future that no one is talking about. What would you do to prepare America for these unforeseen things?
Well, for everything, if I found out, I would, do my best. You have to kind of go through the information, and decide what is credible and so on, and get those words out. You can't, with every single thing, have people constantly in a panic. So, things can happen. But what I'm most concerned about is virus experimentation in the United States, where maybe some big thing is going to happen, and people are going to get very sick and die, and then people, will be told, go get a vaccine. And maybe that vaccine is necessary to save your life. Maybe that vaccine is going to do you more harm than good. Maybe that's the idea. So that's a very scary thing, because how do you know how to handle that? I'm concerned about other false flag attacks, and then also the gang violence and cartels. I think that we're going to start seeing some things in this country that might be suicide bombings and things like that.
What are your weaknesses? What would you do to make up for your weaknesses? Are there any areas where you might have to bring in somebody with talents that you do not have?
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I only have 4 minutes left here, because this is so important, these things here. But, there are so many complex issues that affect people in America, and I've got a lot to learn. So constantly, I believe you should always, I'm not in this to only care about one or two issues, okay? Like I hear some people, they're just really into one thing or two things, and that's why they're running. For me, there's 30 or 40 or 100 things that are important to people, and I want to work on all those things. So constantly you need to have experts working on the issues so that you can get results.
And for the final 3 minutes, just use it discussing any issues you want to discuss, and give us some closing remarks and tell us why we should vote for you.
Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to fly through as quick as I can. The military is so critical. Active military veterans and their families, we need to make sure we're doing everything we can for them. They are not getting everything that they need. People that are in Congress are not the people to know what they need. We need to make sure we're talking to all those people and finding out what it is that they're not getting that they need. I'm concerned about safe food, water, air, and medicine. I think that I think there's a conflict of interest when people from Monsanto and Halliburton are given significant government positions. I think and that's something that I won't have any pressure to do. I'm in support of legalizing marijuana. There's 20,000 current inmates that are in jail for only a marijuana-related conviction. We're paying $35,000 a year to house them, and we need to use that space for dangerous people, rapists, child molesters, people that threaten, intimidate, or abuse women, men, children, or animals, and people that deal hardcore drugs. September 11th, 2001, I asked your listeners to consider, did an airplane hit the Pentagon that day? If you think that an airplane did not hit the Pentagon today, then how can you trust either major party that has been in office? And how can you trust any of the story about 9/11, which is the greatest catastrophe that we've ever had? And I know I'm under 2 minutes, but I'm just going to fly through this. We also, if you don't think that an airplane hit the Pentagon, then contact me directly. I'll send you 2 hours of things for you to research, and you'll know that a plane did not hit the Pentagon. So that's it on that part. So why you would vote for me? Because your vote matters, and I can win. I am as serious as I can be about this campaign. This isn't a publicity stunt. I'm not trying to get my name on TV or win 8% of the vote or get anything else out of this. I can win. It's going to be up to you to choose. I've thought this through. I've got a detailed strategy and plan to get on every ballot. I have a plan for making everyone in America aware of my running for president and why they should consider supporting me. You're going to either choose more of the same type of people that have lied to you about the progress that's being made when in reality we're deteriorating, or you can change the type of person you're electing to these critically important leadership positions. There's a lot of work to do. I'm going to work for all 1,461 days of my term. I'm going to look at each issue individually and do my best to be in touch with, work for, represent the American people, encourage all the elected leaders to join me in representing you, and I'm going to restore pride in America and faith in Americans, bring back opportunities, jobs, freedom, celebrate the good and punish the bad, help people that need help and not be satisfied with helping a few while good people continue to suffer. And I'm going to be there at the end. I'm telling you right now, I'll be there at the end.
Mr. Baker had some information he wanted to pass along at the end of his closing remarks. If you'd like to contact him, you can reach him at 971-998-7354, 971-998-7354, or by email at edbakercampaign@live.com, edbakercampaign@live.com. Thanks again for listening to 2016 Presidential Candidate Interviews. Remember to keep informed, keep passionate, and most of all, keep involved. Have a good day.